Everyone, welcome to another episode of the Brad Davidson Show. Today is just me. I want to talk about a topic that's pretty near and dear to my heart, something I think is super important, and that's being a father. Um, when my life was falling apart and I wasn't doing so well, I started noticing my kids struggling, seeing me in the state that I was in. And I remember having the thought, like, man, if I go down, they go down. And that was one of my big driving factors to get my life back online. And I'm so glad that I did that. And through this journey, I've just studied being a father. I've talked to many experts around being a father and like what it takes. And I just want to share some of the things that I've learned. And I know that it's important. I know without a doubt that it's important. I just had my son, he's 9. I just had his teacher conference the other day, and she was reading some of his journal entries to us. And I was shocked how much of it was about his interactions with me and all the little things that we do that you would kind of dismiss as not being very important were super important to him. And the teacher was just, complimentary about how happy he is, how driven he is, how confident he is, how nice he is, like all these things you want to hear about your child. But I just kept holding on to the things that were said that he would write in his journal. And I realized at that point, okay, I'm doing a few things right, I think. And I just kind of want to share with you what I learned. And the first lesson I've learned, and this was reiterated by a friend of mine. His name is Andrew, a guy at the gym I just love. He's kind of mentoring me on some things. And he's like, man, you're getting it. Love is spelled Time. He's like, I love how much you share with with us about your kids and your time with your kids. And he goes, that's something that's valuable, super valuable. And I really believe that love is spelled Time. The world will tell us as a father, like, go out and earn money and buy them all the things they want. And in reality, what our kids want is our time. And so I'm really focused on that. And I got lucky. I grew up with parents that were very engaged, very present, and very involved in our lives. And I got super lucky. And I recognize that. I'm so thankful to my parents for that. And I remember they were always at everything that I did. Every game, they were there, everything. And I know that was super important because I remember my first college game, I looked up in the stands and I was in a completely different state. And all of a sudden my parents weren't there. And it was a weird feeling. I was just so used to them being there. It's kind of my comfort zone that as a college guy, it got me. And so I remember that point, like, okay, I'll never miss my kids' stuff when I have kids. Like, this is super important. And it's really important to me. And so what I've done is I've just built a world around they come first. And if you're in my life, you're a friend of mine, or you know me, you know that. Like, my kids come first. I invest in them. I'm always present with them. I do a lot to spend time with them. And I don't regret it. And I remember one time my kids asking me, like, Dad, why don't you get a nicer car? Like, get a new, nicer car. And I said, hey, it's great. Like, let's give up all your sports, all your practices, all your coaches, all the things that I pay for. And I can have any car I want. And like, no. Your car is just fine. Your car is just fine. Right. So like, I really invest a lot in them. And not because I have dreams of them being some professional athlete or any college athlete, any of that stuff. It's just, I believe when they find a passion and they fall in love with it, I want to do everything I can to support them in their growth within that. So another important topic that I learned was developing a growth mindset. There's growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Carol Dweck, I think is her name, wrote a book all about this. And so everything I emphasize in my children's life after reading this book and learning about it is focused on growth mindset. Like, everything's about growth, getting better. Are you a little better today than you were yesterday? It's never around, oh, you're the best at this, or, oh, that is so amazing. I'm so proud of your effort you're putting into this. If you keep working hard at that, you'll get to the level you want to get to. That's the words that I'm using with them. And so they want to get better at something. I'll go find them a great coach that can teach them those skill sets to get better at it. My son always called, Dad, I want to work on my craft. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, Dad, I want to work on my craft. So we'll find people to help him work on that craft. I like having other people coach my kids, mentor my kids, teach my kids. And I like to be the support system behind that. And I find that to be very valuable for them, learning how to be coached and learning to trust other people and learning to buy into what they're teaching. And then I'm on the back end of it, just talking about, I'm so proud of your effort. I'm so proud of how well you showed up today. I teach them three things you can control. And there's really only three things any of us can control. It's your attitude, your effort, and your behaviors or your actions. So we'll talk a lot about those three things when they're doing their stuff. How did you show up with your attitude? What was your effort like? Okay, if you made a mistake, did you learn from it? Your coach is coaching you on it. Have you learned from it? And I've got very lucky. I've got great people around my children, and my kids are really into sports right now. They weren't always. When they were younger, they're into much different things than sports, but they've gotten older. It's all about sports. And I feel very lucky and fortunate that the people that my kids are surrounded by coaching them are phenomenal human beings. They get it, the bigger picture. My daughter fell into volleyball in 8th grade and had never touched a volleyball before and fell in love with it and rolls into college. And I'm so thankful. She has a coach, Coach Jillian Rifkin at Costa Mesa High School, one of the best coaches I've ever seen in regards to how she trains the girls, teaches the girls, loves on the girls. She took my little girl who was super insecure and unconfident in the sport, and it's a sport I have no clue around, and just instilled confidence, belief, all these things in my daughter. So she helped her fall in love with the sport and is supporting her in her growth. It's been amazing. And I watch a lot of these other coaches in the world of volleyball, and they're just hammering on the girls, screaming at them, yelling at them, ripping them apart. And there's Coach Rifkin. I've never heard her yell. I know she gets upset, but her response is coaching the girls. If they've screwed up, they made a mistake, she coaches the girls, teaches them, here's the mistake you made, here's how you overcome that. It's been a beautiful thing. And to see the confidence instilled in my daughter was phenomenal. Like, just one of those beautiful things. And I sent her an email not long ago just thanking her for that specific thing. Like, you've made my daughter a better human being. Like, yes, better at volleyball, but all those things are going to carry over to other parts of her life. So I'm super thankful for that. My little boy is really into football right now. Like, that's his big love and passion. And man, if you've never seen youth football, it's a crazy, scary, at times pathetic world with the men that are involved coaching these boys and the parents around these boys. I'm incredibly thankful of the men that my son is playing for because they get it. They coach the boys. They teach them the skill set. They love on the boys. They push the boys, but they never, ever degrade the boys, talk down on them. And man, some of the teams I've watched my son's team play, it's unreal how these men are acting, just tearing these little 8-9-year-olds apart. Like they're the worst human beings on the face of the earth for making a mistake. And it just breaks my heart, but it makes me so thankful for the coaches around my son. So like, I really believe that as a father, it's incredibly important to support them in their growth mindset. My kids and I, we never talk about being the best at anything. It's, are you better today than you were yesterday? What are your goals for tomorrow? What are your goals coming up? What are you going to work on to get better at your craft? And that's what we focus a lot of our time on. And then I compliment them on those things. I'm so proud of your effort. I'm so proud of how committed you are to getting better at that. I loved how you focused on improving this today. I saw it in your practice, or I saw it in your game. It's never about, oh my God, you were amazing today. It's always around the growth mindset. My kids really believe that if they just work hard enough at something, they can become anything they want. And I think that's really important. And that was something that I got lucky. My father just naturally instilled that in us growing up when it came to our things we were a part of. So I think that's beautiful. I think that another reason I'm so committed to this, I'll give you an example about being present for their events. I've been a speaker for 12 years of my life, traveled all over the U.S. I've spoken all 50 states, all over Mexico, all over Canada, all over the world. And all of a sudden, I'm finding myself on the road, and I missed my daughter's first 2 rounds of playoffs this past season. And I wasn't okay with that. When I got home from that trip after I missed the second one, I pulled the plug on it. I retired from speaking after 12 years. It was a very lucrative scenario. And I loved doing it. But I wanted my daughter to know that her world is more important than my job. What is important to her is more important to me than my job. And so I pulled the plug on it. After that last trip, I retired from it. No more. I'll still do periodically ones here and there as long as they do not interrupt anything that my kids have going on. That's how much I believe in being present and being there for them in this state of their lives, because I know from my experience with my parents how important it is for me as their parent to be there, to watch them, to praise them, to love on them, and to support them. That is how much I truly believe in that. I think another thing that's super important for our children is I learned this from Dr. Daniel Amen, and I'm so thankful for him. If you don't know who he is, he runs the Amen clinics. He's written a number of New York Times bestsellers. He's just phenomenal. Anything with the brain, anything psychological, any of that kind of stuff, he's phenomenal with. And he taught me One of the greatest things you can do as a parent to raise a child that has a secure attachment is, he calls it special time, is every week there's a block of time and it's their time. You put the phone down and you ask them, what do you want to do? And whatever the hell it is they want to do, you engage with. When they're younger, it's their rules. Like, they'll come up with, I remember my kids would come up with crazy games at the park, and we would be pirates on the playground. And one of the best things he gave me was, don't change it, don't correct it, just go with it. Let them be creative, let them be imaginative, whatever it is, you just go with it. And as they get older, that special time, same things. Like, what do you want to go do? So I'll give you an example. Sunday was, my son knows Sundays is kind of our day to go play and do our thing. This Sunday, we went to the driving range. We hit balls. And then we putted, and we wanted to play some putting games. So we did that. And then we came home. And we ended up every Sunday lately playing one-on-one. And it seems like very trivial. Like, how important is that? But my God, when the teacher was reading his journals, there was so much focus on our one-on-one basketball games. Like, that was super important to him and super fun to him. And it's amazing how much of a connection just those little things create. Now with my daughter, it's more like, we'll go get coffee now and we'll just talk about things. And it's phenomenal. And what I've noticed ever since I hit rock bottom, I started realizing, oh my gosh, it's impacting my kids, and realizing if I go down, they'll go down. And I changed my ways. And I was very focused on this stuff. That the love that I have of my kids is so much deeper than it's ever been. Like, they're very affectionate with me. Like, they'll sit on the couch with me. It's just phenomenal. My little boy, when we're just walking, sometimes he'll still grab my hand and want to walk me holding my hand. And that's huge to me. And I always try to take my kids on special trips and things like that. It's like my son and I, it's always, we'll go watch my football players play and go to their game and just hang out. And it's so funny because to me, it's like, oh, that was kind of a boring trip. But to him, it's like the greatest thing ever. I remember last time we went to Denver to watch the Broncos game, and he had the most epic trip ever. He still talks about it. And we stayed in this cheap hotel. We got up and we went out in the parking lot and threw the ball around. And we came back in and we went to the indoor pool and played in the pool. And then we went to the game. Like, it was super basic. And he absolutely loved it. And the reality was, the reason he loved it so much was that he just had me all to himself all day long. And everything we did was just whatever he wanted to do. And it's so amazing how what the kids want to do is really, honestly, super simplistic stuff. They just want to know that you want to engage with them and talk with them and play with them. And so, again, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to be a father or how to be a parent. I'm just sharing lessons I've learned that have worked really well for me and my relationship with my children. Are my kids perfect? Oh, hell no. Am I perfect? Oh, hell no. But I'm making better decisions. And I just want to cap it off with this. I was talking to my son the other day, and he said, Dad, I decided if I don't make it to the NFL, I want to be a good man. I'm like, what do you mean you want to be a good man? He's like, I want to be just like you. I'm like, whoa, like, what does that mean? He goes, like, you're a great dad. Like, you're always playing with us. You're always with us. You're always supporting us. You're always at our stuff. I want to be like that. And you love your job. I want to find a job that I love. So if I don't make it to the NFL, then I'm going to find a job that I love, that I'm good at, and that I work hard at, just like you do. I was blown away by that. And it just goes to show how much our actions and how we show up in our children's lives impact their life. And that put a little pressure on me, because in my head, I'm thinking, man, I'm kind of a screw up. I make all these mistakes. Like, put a little pressure on me that I got to step it up. I got to live at an even higher level to be even a better mentor, a better model for my son, because he is really, really watching me in everything I do and how I do things. And he takes our conversations to heart. So if I really want to have a good impact on him, I got to step it up to another level, being that model for him, because he's seeing it. And I don't want to screw that up, right? I don't want to be the thing that all of a sudden screws it up for him. And then all of a sudden he screws up and, starts following me down the wrong path. And I was at a crossroads. And I'm telling you, if you're there, I get it. It sucks. My life beat the hell out of me. And I was there. I did not care about anything. I had given up. I want to read this to you. I wrote this to myself after I had this moment. I remember the days I was dead. I had no energy. I wasn't present. I was broken and had given up on life. I had lost everything and no purpose outside of simply surviving. I'll never forget those days, and I'll never go back to those days. I'll live every day with passion, intensity, loving every second of my life. The good days, the bad days, and the ugly days. Remember, Brad, only the most broken are worthy of leading. Live this on a daily basis. When I was broken and I didn't care about anything and the decisions I was making were horrific, I was at a crossroads in my life. I was a dead person, a shell of myself that had given up on everything. And that was the modeling I was giving my children. Nothing matters. Screw everything. Don't take care of yourself. Don't care about what you put in your mouth. I stopped working out. I've given up on everything. Gosh, I love my mom. My mom called me out in the middle of this. I remember this as well. I started drinking more than I typically ever had in my life. It was a way to kind of numb things. Like every night I'd have a couple cocktails. And my mom came to visit and we went out to lunch. It was me, her, and my two kids. And I ordered an old fashioned. All she said to me was simply this: really? You're going to have a cocktail in the middle of the day with your children? And that was it. And that was all she had to say. That was an eye opener right there. Just realizing, like, oh my gosh, I'm modeling this for my kids. And my mom just called me out and it bothered her. And I'm happy that it bothered her. And I'm happy that she's a strong enough woman that she can say that to me. Again, she didn't tear me down or call. She just called me out on it. Really? You're going to have a cocktail in the middle of the day with your kids at lunch? It hit me pretty deep. So if you're at that point and you're a father or you're a mother and you're struggling in life and you don't quite know where to turn, and you got kids, just take a moment and look at them like I did and ask yourself, what do you want for their future? Because if you go down, they go down. But you have an incredible opportunity to show them what it takes to be a strong person that can come back from anything, that can rebuild from anything. Because I'm going to tell you, life challenges all of us. And it's going to challenge your children. And they're going to remember this moment. When they saw you at rock bottom, when they saw you struggling, when they saw your pain, when they saw your suffering, when they saw you crying, when they saw you depressed, when they saw you not want to get out of bed in the morning. And then they're going to remember the strength they saw in you as you made a change. As you got rid of your bad habits, as you started taking care of yourself, as you started eating better, as you started facing life, as you built yourself back up from that. And that will inspire them and they will remember that when things are tough. If you pay attention and you listen, they'll comment on it. They'll comment on it. There's even been days where I share with my kids, hey, I'm really struggling with this. This is going on in my life. What do you think I should do to overcome it? And then just to hear them, just so they know that I'm struggling, but they know that I'm fighting. And they'll give me sometimes really great feedback. I'm telling you, it's one of the greatest honors you have if you're a parent is to lead your children well. Yeah, I live in the world of fitness. And I talk a lot about taking better care of yourself. And if you listen to my message, I'm never talking about taking better care of yourself to look sexy. I'm never talking about working out so you look better in a bikini or a bathing suit. I'm never talking about working out to take selfies and post them all over the internet. That's a one-dimensional person. I'm talking about taking better care of yourself so you can be a better leader. You can have more impact in the world. You can show your children what it takes to love yourself and take better care of yourself. Because they're going to follow in your footsteps. I honestly just got back from the gym with my little boy who wanted to go work out. So we ran to the gym and got a workout in before we came here. My kids love to work out. They love to take care of themselves. They understand making better food choices. Not because it's going to make them skinnier or look better, because it's going to give them better energy to show up more in life, to have more energy, to practice harder, to be more present, for their brains to work better at school. Just show up for your kids. Use that as the driving force to enhance your life, knowing that you have that option to enhance their life as well. And remember, the best advice Andrew gave me, love is spelled T-I-M-E. When it comes to your children, when it comes to most of your relationships, that's the God honest truth. Love is spelled T-I-M-E. Put your phone down, start giving the people you care about your time. And it's hard, I get it. but man, the impact it'll have on your relationships is absolutely dramatic. Next week, I'm going to have Dr. Copland. He's the head doctor out at the Marietta Hot Springs. He's an expert in geothermal waters. I'm going to have him on as a guest. And we're going to dive into geothermal therapies and water. And I tell you, I'd never been in it before until I got involved in Marietta Hot Springs. And ever since I started getting in the waters and experiencing the reduction of inflammation, my joints feeling better, my muscles feeling looser, my sleep is better. It's phenomenal. So I'm really excited to bring him on here to really talk about how you can use geothermal hot spring waters to really enhance your health and your vitality. So I'll see you next week. It's going to be a great episode. Remember, cut 1 or 2 bad habits. Starting now, what are 2 non-negotiables you're done doing? And start doing something to take better care of yourself, and do it to demonstrate to your children that are watching you, to show them what it takes to have your ultimate comeback.